Hello, everybody. We're super excited. The upcoming session, it's going to be IEC 62443, and it's all about cybersecurity in industrial automation. I believe we are just in schedule, and I will hand over to my colleague, Dirk. Dirk, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Jorgo. So is everyone able now to see the presentation?
Yes, I can see it. It's very clear.
Okay. So then from my side also welcome and thanks for joining this session about cybersecurity. My name is Dirk Tilker and I'm working in industrial automation since 30 years. And the last 4 years I was handling a lot of industrial 4.0 topics, and I get in touch with a lot of IT guys, and so cybersecurity was always a hot discussion there. And I like to share in this session some of the experience and giving some recommendation, and I would be happy if you say, okay, cybersecurity and standards like here the IEC 62443 is not such a dry topic, and it is even fun to have a look at that. So coming here to the first slide, just let me talk a little bit about office IT and industrial IT or OT, how it's nowadays called, and just that we have a common understanding about that one. I'm expecting that some of you are coming from the IT side, but I'm quite sure that most of you are coming from the automation side, where also I was more or less born. Okay, let's start with the left side. This is here the office IT, and these systems have a design goal, and this design goal is confidentiality. And as a result of this, there are a lot of security systems are available. And I'm quite sure that every one of you are familiar with firewalls and antivirus software, at least with that ones. I think they are very helpful and necessary, but they are also slowing down the system. But in the office IT, normally this is not an issue. No? And also characteristic for office IT is starting a system, shutting down, restarting is normally not an issue. And also if there's a problem, normally it doesn't result in physical danger for people or environment. So on the other side, here on the right side, we have the industrial IT guys. And during my professional career, I saw this growing like hell, and it's really amazing what benefit is coming with this connections and with this networking stuff and all this nice benefits delivered by the IT guys. But the design goal is different, and this is availability. And for instance, antivirus programs are not possible because they're slowing down the systems, and speed is really characteristic, or real time. It's a characteristic where slowing down is not accepted. And even to my knowledge, there aren't antivirus programs available. So the system design is, the thinking is, okay, the system is isolated. It's not connected to the World Wide Web. It's not exposed to all the stuff what's around there. Also, since around 10 years, a lot of functionalities are coming, connecting to this world. As the designers haven't changed much in their thinking, but it's coming every day, it's coming up more and more. And in comparison to Office IT, restarting a system is always results in downtime when we are thinking about digital factories. Okay, this is assembly and then production size, or if you're going to process automation, thinking about power plants or chemical installations. There's even not a minute downtime is accepted. So then there's a low availability of security systems, but we as our VASI are working that here security systems are available, and later on I will show you some examples. And also what is influencing the thinking and the design of industrial IT is a physical danger, very often, or a technical issue or security issue very often results in physical danger for people or environment, or at least is damaging your production environment, no? or even destroying your machine. And therefore here the thinking is different. To give you an example, on the OT side, if you're really putting a lot of money on the table and booking in a data center, a really high availability data center, this is then a tier 4 specification, and then they guarantee you a downtime less than 26 minutes a year. This is how Office IT guys thinking and designing. And here on the industrial IT side, if you're thinking about safety controllers, even if you're not going to the highest level, which is SIL 4, if you're going to SIL 3, which is very common in the market, then we are talking, first of all, we are not talking about availability. We are thinking more about a mean time between failures. This is the first difference there. And then mean time between failure for a SIL 3 level, which is not the highest one. No? It's 1,000 to 10,000 years. So you see, the IT guys are happy if it's a downtime less than 26 minutes a year, and the OT guys are happy if the failure doesn't occur within 1,000 years. Okay, so there is a lot of difference, but there are also common things. And this is here all this nice standards which you have established here on the IT side. There's some other standards established here on the OT side, but the common thinking of this is always get an overview about the dangers, always doing a risk assessment, and always doing evaluation of risk, and then handling risk. And here one note which will be also interesting later on in my presentation. Handling risk means that you also that you have to think about what is really necessary at the protection level, because sometimes it's not necessary to build really a Fort Knox. Sometimes it's sufficient if you're putting a fence around your factory. And so this means you have to really to set a level where you say, okay, this risk is acceptable. Or another example, if you have a circular saw, which is dangerous because you can cut your finger or even your arm, and but when you are going to protect this like hell, then at the end you will not be able to cut a piece of wood. So there you always have to accept a certain level of remaining risk. And of course, then the integration of the safety concept. Okay, this is very obvious. And then you have defined your level of acceptable risk, which is here in the middle. And then normally people are taking some measures, and they are normally a little bit higher regarding the acceptable risk level, and then this is a remaining risk level, and this is then seen as to be on the safe side, and you can run your factory. So, and here I put some examples. Sorry, the screenshots are in German, but here on the IT security side, there are 47 sources of risk identified. And on the OT side, when it comes to safety, there are 11 sources of risk with many of facets, which automation guys are handling this since at least 20 years. And what happens now when the OT and the IT is converging? So OT and IT have their risk, and when it emerges, then this poor OT guys, then they have not only to face their 11 risks, but they get an additional 47 risks on top. But the good news is that there are some overlaps, not many, but some. And the other good news is that there are standards dealing with this, and they are helping. And I'm now going to show a few screenshots just to make you aware that this error down here going from the IT to the OT side is not just talking. So as you can see here on the right side, I put a screenshot here from the third organization. This is an US-based organization. And there's a very famous controller from Siemens, S7300. And look, 2-3 months ago, they did an update there to overcome here discovered vulnerability. Or here, Codesys on the other side, they really ask for please report if you're detecting there's an issue. No? And here you see this. I put these slides last month, and then I'm quite sure if you're looking, oh no, there's even one here, and so it says every month there's a new issue is coming up. And here is from the third, and you can see that all the players in the market are affected. Here's Philips, here's OZSoft, here's Rockwell Automation, here's Advantech, here's Mitsubishi, and here's Siemens logo. So this is also a nice organization which are really working on protecting production environment with Schneider Electric software. And here they told me here in May it's mandatory to do this installation and till end of this month. So there's no longer the question of should I do, or it's recommendable to do an update. You have to do it. Handling changes is a core of our product versiondog. So don't worry, we can handle this changes. And the old thinking, if never touch a running system, I'm quite sure this is fading away in the future. And there's a lot of organizations building standards to tackle these issues, and we have chosen the IEC 62443. And the reason why is because it's worldwide spread, it's worldwide accepted, and also the community working on the standard is up to date with recent developments. So this is why we recommend that one, but you're free to follow up the other ones. Some thinkings to motivate you a little bit. The concept of these guys who have put this standard together is this defense in depth. What does this mean? First, the outer level is protect your facility. Restricted physical access, rules for processes, security checks and so on. I think this is not a really big surprise. But the thing is, these measures can only be taken by the operators. This is, if you're running a factory, then only you can do that. The next circle of defense is protect your network. Segmented networks, firewalls, VPN tunnel, end-to-end encryption, and also how you are segmenting your factory. There's also nice procedures written down there how to do that, and it's really recommendable to read. And these measures can only build in, and this is typically done by the integrator, maybe an external company who are installing the machines or the production line or the process equipment in your facilities. So, and the third level is to choose systems who can protect themselves and detect and defend against attacks, protect against manipulation. All the world is talking a lot about intended manipulation, but there are also unintended manipulation, and you have to detect that, so that your guys who are working with the equipment, they are doing some errors for sure, because people are not working, not doing errors. And of course, choose a robust system, password protection, and here you see also this patch management, and these are measures which can only be taken by the manufacturers or by you buying the adequate equipment. And regarding patch management, you've seen in the slides before that manufacturers are really very active there and doing their best to support you. And this is really, you have to run in circles. It's not enough to establish this one time. You always have to rethink this and to tackle new issues or to use new technologies which are coming up. So, looking to the documents, this is what people mostly don't like, and to be honest, I also haven't read all these documents. The first line, there are general definitions. If somebody likes to read it, please go ahead. But my recommendation is here the second line. This is the outer defense circle, talking about policies, procedures. And here there's two chapters. One is how to establish that controls and what you all have to think about it, and a little bit how to do it. It's really worth reading it. And then here is the chapter 2.4. This is life cycle and use cases. That is what I mentioned. These guys have thought about the times of never touch a running system are over and how to handle this. Really recommended to have a look at it. So all the integrators among the audience here, or the ones who are contracting integrators, the third line here, having a look on all these definitions. It's worth to understand the thinking of the guys who have put these papers together. The security conformance matrix, and this also deals with not only installing it, but also supervising it. And here's the last line. This is for the manufacturers, but I think today we have only a few here in the sessions, and we are, as always, we frequently exchange with them, with the development departments of this manufacturer and with all the big brands. And we are also working close together here. So this is protection level. What is that? In the IEC, they have defined 4 protection levels. Protection level 1, 2, 3, and 4 is the highest one. And first, you have during the evaluation phase, you have to define which protection level is an appropriate level to protect your factory. Then there is a common accepted procedure, and here please think about this outer circle of defense, this policy and procedures, and think about these 2 chapters I've recommended. And there's a main part here to reach a maturity level. And this means how your people, or which rules are in place, and how your people are following this up. And here you sometimes your low level is sufficient, but for instance, if you like to reach protection level 2, so you have at least to reach your maturity level 2, so that you get here this gray boxes here in this table. So this is what you as operator have to do to reach protection level 2. And so are the integrators who are putting your factory and putting the machines together. And if they are following up here in chapter 3.3, they will gain a security level, and so at least they have to go here to security level 2 or 3 or 4. And then regarding this schematics, you're able to reach protection level 2, and you're sure that you're running an appropriate level and to protect your factory. And the thinking behind this protection level is because if someone wants to attack you from outside, and he have to do a certain effort. And here you think, if you're doing the risk evaluation, thinking about your factory, how much a burglar can take out of your factory. And if there's a lot to take out, then okay, then put the level high to make the work for the attackers more difficult. And sometimes says, okay, that's difficult. Even if I can overcome this, I would not gain any benefit because I've invested so much work to break into your factory. And if there's not so much to take out, and it's sufficient for you to shoot for protection level 2. This is the external thinking, but you have also internal dangers and issues to tackle, and this is also covered here with this second line. So it's pretty simple, and once you have here understood this concept and said, oh, these guys are really helping me. And let's look a little bit deeper inside the chapter 2.4, because in all these blue boxes I've shown you, versiondog is able to solve this completely, or to help you to get on a certain security or maturity level. versiondog is working in these both directions, for operators and also for integrators. Here you have some subchapters, like here put in procedures in place, and here I took a quote: technical and organization protective measures must be defined.
You need to back up your programming projects as versions. This is a core feature of versiondog. And you should back up the running code in your controlling equipment. You can set versiondog to run regular uploads. And a great security feature of versiondog is to automatically detect changes to running code. This is done by comparing each upload with the previous upload. If you do all that, you will have all the tools you need for a fast disaster recovery.
This is also the thinking of doing measures in advance, that you are prepared for intended and also for unintended changes, and do the backups, do the detection, and then react. This is always the 4 steps, and this is going through all this, the thinking of the standard. And here's the thing, hopefully everyone have heard about Stuxnet. This was an issue 10 years ago, where the Americans and the Israelis are attacking Iranian nuclear program, and if Iran would have used versiondog would have detected even Stuxnet. And here on the right side, I have a personal recommendation, which is about the Stuxnet thing. It's now 4 years old, but for me it was really also very interesting and really an eye-opener. What is the situation today here in the production, and also talking about how the Iran was striking back in 2012 and then shutting down power plants in the USA. Well, it's very interesting for people from the automation side and also from the IT side, and IEC is providing tools that you can protect yourself about a lot of this stuff which is reported there. And finally, I would be happy if you take away when you're thinking about security in the automation environment or the IT which is close to the production side, that really versiondog is a thing to look into when OT and IT is converging. Thank you for attention. You're free to write me an email to discuss all the issues, and we have already also here in IEC some people available who have read all these norms, and so we can here support you in getting your facility running smooth.
Thank you very much, Dirk, for highlighting also the differences between the IT side and the OT side. I think it was quite interesting to see what are the different challenges in the specific systems, right? So, and of course, I think the message, the important message on your presentation is that we meet a lot of those standards such as are implemented in the IEC standards in the 62443.
You have learned the numbers. Very good.
Yeah, I've read all this. I am the person who read all the standards.
Ooh.
So there are no questions so far. I think, there is a question. How would versiondog, hold on. How would versiondog have detected Stuxnet?
Okay, because versiondog is doing a backup from all the code which is running on, in this case it was a Siemens 7300. And by the way, I personally was working 16 years for Siemens, and I also was product manager in the WinCC area, and so I really followed up this very closely in 2010. And there was a code manipulated that there's a simple parameter change which puts this frequency converters on higher revolutions, and then there was the next thing is Stuxnet was also manipulating the communication to WinCC, showing to the operators that everyone is running fine, and the next thing was manipulated is even if the people are not looking on their screen but looking down to the factory, they really saw that there's something wrong. And then they tried to stop it, but also Stuxnet was prohibiting this communication. So this means there was a lot of code changes in the 7300, and versiondog is pulling a backup, let's say a day, a week, or an hour, or a month ago. And when Stuxnet was introduced in the next backup, versiondog would have detected that there's a difference in the code. This is one of the base functionalities of versiondog. And so then the guys who are running versiondog would have an email or a message that say, look, there's a difference. And then they have to say, okay, there was no change planned, and this for sure is an unintended change. Maybe this is done by error, or in this case, this is done by an intended attack. and you can immediately put an unaffected backup back to the controller, and this is a way how versiondog would have found out this issue and have covered this before all this turbines or centrifuges were destroyed.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dirk. I think this is the answer to the question. Basically, it goes through the comparison, right? So by backupping on a regular base the controller and compare with the previous backup, they would be able to detect the changes and then check, all right, was that authorized or unauthorized?
Yes.
And
the
then
good thing is also this alarming. versiondog is really sending out. It's not alarming because sometimes changes are intended. So we are sending out an email and say, hey, have a look at this. This is you really want that. And the next thing, what versiondog would have detected, we are also comparing this backup George is talking about with original source code of, in this case, step 7. And even there, we would have detected that there's a difference and said, okay, at least your engineer who was last doing some maintenance in this area didn't create a new version, didn't put it on the server. So there's definitely something wrong with your rules and policies, or he's not respecting that. This level, this first defense level here of this standards, even there, even this is supported by versiondog, so that you really can control if your people are really following these procedures.
Also makes versiondog also backup of the data in data blocks.
Yes, we are uploading all this data blocks, and but you can then select if you're say, okay, please check all data blocks of changes, or don't do it. And the reason behind this is because the operators have to change sometimes some parameters. And so you can exclude this in the comparison, and you don't get each and every time a notification that there's some changes. But really, coming back to this ICE standard, you have really defined which level you want to reach and how hard you are controlling this. So versiondog offers both possibilities, really to get a notification on each changed parameters, but we're excluding time by default, I think, because time is changing every second. No? But data blocks, it's up to you, and it's up to you risk elevation, how you're configuring versiondog.
Thanks. Thank you very much for that detailed answer. We are just, I got the additional comment here. So the demonstration is for cybersecurity with versiondog. So they're asking for a S7 cybersecurity demonstration. All right. I believe we cannot cover this today, but also a topic which is fair discussable afterwards. And maybe we can connect here the right person.
Yes, or we can also invite here the Siemens guys. We are working close together with them, or also my old colleagues. They are ready to support us there, because only working together will help to fulfill the adequate levels. No?
As far as I understand, oh, sorry for.
Go ahead.
As far as I understood, we will have also webinars which covering the cybersecurity.
Yes, there are some planned, but here I have to look here outside about my cabinet here, to, because I don't have our whole marketing plan in my in my head. Yes, we have some plan. Please look it up on our homepage. There are schedules there.
Mhm.
And or if not, please give me a call, and then we will put something together.
Dirk, I might add there one further information. As soon as we have the passive scan and live scan available, what you shown in the slides, we will do a separate webinar because there's so much stuff to show live and to talk about in theory that we will offer in the future cybersecurity webinars, especially on these points where we show the scanner who knows the participants, the protocol which we take care on, and how we recognize that there are new participants in the network, that we detect the cyber attacks and stuff like that. So I think in a month or so we will be ready to announce webinars.
Perfect.
Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you to the participants. But as the timekeeper, I need to cut this session down now, because we want to allow also our participants to have a break in between if they want to join in the next session, which, by the way, is going to be the tech tip. Even if you've been using versiondog for a long time, we might have some tips and tricks that you can make a big difference. So join in the next session. We're looking forward to meet you there as well. Thanks once again to Dirk, and have a good one.
Okay, thank you.